Thank you for coming. Today we are doing time management, and I prepared a little assessment with regard to how well we are doing time management. What you need is a piece of paper and a pen to answer the following questions. First, I tend to be on time for classes and appointments. Yes or no? I set aside time to study for exams. I set aside time to study or read my textbook even if I don't have an exam to prepare for. I regularly take part in social activities, despite the fact that I have studying to do. I usually cram for exams. I usually feel prepared on the day of exams. With everything I have to do, I find it hard to complete assignments and projects on time. 8, I regularly take part in social activities in spite of the fact that I have studying to do. I usually cram for exams. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Never mind. I have enough time to get done what I need to do but I still find it hard to finish. Dealing with extenuating circumstances, such as sorting out financial aid, getting extra tutoring, or seeing a professor during office hours, seriously disrupts my daily or weekly schedule. And here you got the answer key. Statements 1 to 7. You give yourself 1 point for each statement you agreed with. And 8 to 12, you give yourself 1 point for each statement you disagreed with. Scores 9 to 12. Congratulations, you're a great time manager. 5 to 8, you're doing some things right. And 0 to 4, you need to spend extra time working on your skills. Regardless of your score, the tips on the following slides can help you to improve your time management skill in general. What are the benefits of time management? Why should I learn that? People who manage their time well are punctual. They arrive on time, they arrive a little before the time, to have time to calm themselves, they stay calm, they tend to be organized. And good organization skills, being punctual, being calm, means less stress. That means they tend to be healthier. People who manage their time well meet deadlines. Therefore, they tend to be relaxed. They complete all tasks, they tend to be prepared, they tend to be goal-oriented and successful. All the things we want to be successful. But it's very, very hard to do all these things, to keep a timely life, to be on time always, because there are things like time wasters. These are little things that pop up, like there's a crisis, and these crises keep coming. That means what you only can do is managing by crisis, because you find out, like today, that your presenter is out sick, and that you have to do it all by yourself. Management by crisis, poor planning. Then there are the telephone and email interruptions. I need to take this call, and that interrupts your train of thought. Then there is inadequate planning, that you did not plan enough time to study for the exam, or to do this homework, or to do this research. And then the attempting to do too much. You forget that you're human, and you have this long list of things that will take you 3 days, and you just scheduled half a day for it. Another time waster is drop-in visitors. People who just come and call or drop in and just to say hi, and you have to take time to, you have to take care of them. And there is personal disorganization. For example, like you spend in the morning a lot of time because you can't find the second sock that you want to wear, or you don't know which shoes are fitting to your outfit, or if this color is more becoming. Then there's a lack of self-discipline, that you know you should do things, but you don't feel like doing it. Procrastination comes to mind. Then there's socializing. We love to spend time with our friends, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, but we overlook that we have other things to do. Then there is poor communication and lack of information, which really can mean that you show up too late, that you misunderstood what you were supposed to do, things like that. And that means you run out of time. Where is your time going? There are 24 hours in a day and 168 hours in your week. You don't have more time. And a survey, an American Time Use survey that studied how university and college students, full-time students, spent their time during the years 2011 to 2015. That's pretty recent. As you can see, full-time university and college students spend an average of 8 hours, 8.8 hours of sleep. That means nearly 9 hours of sleep. That is a lot. It's healthy, but it's a lot. That is 1/3 of the day, more than 1/3 of the day. Leisure and sports, 4 hours. Educational activities, remember these are full-time students, 3.5 hours. Work-related activities, remember these are two full-time students, 2.3 hours. Traveling, we all have to travel, you remember, I mean, we're now in quarantine for a couple of months, but remember how bad the commute is in Miami. Traveling 1.4 hours on average. Eating and drinking, yes, we all have to eat, we need our water, 1 hour. Grooming, less than 1 hour. And other things like, for example, picking up the phone or cleaning or whatever, taking the dog for a walk or taking the dog to the bed, it's another 2 hours. Makes a total of 24 hours. Yeah, nowadays, I mean, I'm old school. When I learned time management, I was buying a planner, which was a notebook. Nowadays, we have a lot of electronic helpers, which will remind us about things that we can do. And a lot of these things here are free, and you can download them on your phone, and then they can help you with class assignments, reminders, task lists, and they also are great in synchronization across devices. That means you have them on your phone, then at home you have them on your laptop, and in the library you can log in at the computer and get your account. My Study Life does that. Another good helper is My Homework. It's another app that adds homeworks, tests, projects to calendar and get reminders. That means it pops up in your email or it pops up on your phone as a little reminder and says, remember, you have to do this math task until the end of the day because tomorrow is the deadline. Also, the app My Homework synchronizes across devices. And then one thing that I love is remember the milk. It reminds me when tasks are due, and you can get reminders, you can organize lists and share lists and synchronize lists. Like, for example, let's say I'm doing some cooking and I use all up the milk, the eggs, and then I can plug it into my shopping list and say buy eggs. And I share this with my husband, so just in case he goes to the supermarket today, that he sees it and say, oh, we need to have eggs. Liana used all the eggs. By the way, feel free to ask questions via the group chat, or 1 second, I think I unmuted you. You can unmute yourself. If you have a question to ask, feel free to interrupt me. Very important for time management is to create a routine. That means you take control of your life, of your time. And a daily routine helps you to survive time wasters. And here you see is an example of a daily routine. Like this person is an early bird like I am. 6 o'clock you get up and get ready. 7 o'clock you're out on the road to travel to your place of work. 8 o'clock I'm normally at work, and the first thing I'm doing in my office is email. Then at 9 o'clock, as a clinician, I'm normally seeing clients. I have a client. And at 10 o'clock, I start to work on a project. And this is a very long-term project, and therefore it takes me 2 hours. I plan 2 hours for it. At 12 o'clock, I have a working lunch with my boss. And then in the afternoon, that was a nice working lunch. She just gave me another project. And this project 2, it's a long project, it takes 3 hours. At 4 o'clock, I drop my pencil, or I, close my computer. I'm back on the road, and at 5 o'clock, I'm home to prep dinner. And at 6 o'clock, I'm getting ready for Tuesday. It is much easier for me, especially because I'm getting up so early, to get everything that I need for Tuesday out. Like, for example, do I need to dress up because I have an important meeting, to put all the stuff that I want to wear together, or is there a certain book or a certain thing that I promised somebody that I need to take? Okay, did they announce rain so that I need to have an umbrella and a raincoat, little things like that. Getting ready for the next day. To master your time is an art. And it is also a skill that needs to be learned. How do you do that? You simply start with choosing a task. Like, for example, reading a reading assignment. You look at this chapter that you're supposed to read, and you say, this will take me perhaps an hour. You write that time down on a piece of paper, 60 minutes, and then you set your timer for 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? Because we are humans, not computers. Our brain, after 25 minutes, needs to have a little rest, a tiny little break of 3, 4, 5 minutes, just to get, not long enough to interrupt your train of thought, but just right enough to be able to refocus again. So when this timer rings, you mark it on a timesheet and take a 5 minutes break. And then you set your timer for 25 minutes. And when the timer rings, mark it on a sheet of paper, take a 5 minutes break, and so on. And after 4 rings, that would be a 2-hour break, you're supposed to take a longer break. So after your task is finished, and I thought I would do it in 60 minutes, I check how much time it took me to really finish the task and readjust my estimate for future tasks. Like, for example, I found out instead of 60 minutes, it took me 90 minutes. Okay, that means in future, when I have 7 pages assigned to read, it will take me 90 minutes. I know that now, and I can readjust my time. Sometimes I underestimate myself, and I'm getting done earlier. Then you have to readjust that too, not to waste any time. So now let's have a look. Did we learn something? Let's do our time management assessment again. What did we learn? I tend to be on time for my classes and appointments. And that's a yes, that's a good thing because it reduces our stress level. I set aside time to study for exam. Same thing, good things, reduces stress level, gets you ready for the exam, and yeah, you also sleep much better because you don't have to worry about how will I do about this exam? How will I do? Can I pass it? I set aside time to study or read my textbook, even if I do not have an exam to prepare for. Yes, that is very good because that means there will be an exam, right? There's never a time when there's not an exam, especially in undergraduates, in the undergraduate program. So they are coming, but you will be prepared. That means less studying and less cramming for you. And you will feel prepared on the day of exams, which is very good because nothing is more anxiety provoking sitting on your chair, on your desk, in the room, seeing the exam in front of you, reading the first sentence, and they say, "I've never heard about that in my life." Yeah. And then there's a thing called burnout. I do not experience burnout anytime between midterm and final exam. That is the goal. Because when you're cramming, when you are stressed out, you're worrying, you got your midterm back, and it's not, nothing to write home about. Was a C minus minus minus. It's only because the professor was kind, because he liked you. And here we go. Now you have to worry about the final exam. Okay, and that increases the likelihood of burnout. Okay, and another important thing is I write down things I need to do. That is very important too, because otherwise you will forget. And it's nothing better. It's nothing better in your daily routine when you have this list of 10 things to do and you just check it off. It gives you really a good feeling. I hardly ever feel pressure to get things done. That is awesome. That would be the goal. And how many of you did everything right? You do all of that and you feel calm and relaxed. You are in a perfect space. Another big thing of time management is to learn what's important. And therefore, that means the question is, what do I do first? Noon, we differentiate between tasks that are urgent and not urgent, and important and not important. An urgent, important task can be a crisis, a last-minute project, or homework. A urgent but not important is an interruption. Friend comes by to say hi. It is so-called non-essential events. Events that are not very important for your life on the long term. Excuse me. Not urgent, but important are planning long-term projects. Like, for example, your master's thesis, generate a research paper or a thesis. You get the task at the beginning of the term, and you know your deadline is 3 or 4 or 5 months later. Okay, that means there's a lot of planning involved. It is not urgent yet, but it's very important, therefore it's good to plan for it. And not important and not urgent are busy works and time wasters. When I was in graduate school, one of my friends, every time we met at a house for study group, I came into this perfect home. There was not a dustbin in the corner. The kitchen was clean, sparkling. There was no fingerprints at the beautiful stainless steel refrigerator. It was perfect. And my friend, she was never prepared for study group because the house needed to be perfect before she could study. That is what I call procrastination, busy work. Okay, more time management hacks. Important is one thing at a time. Start with the most difficult, boring subject first when you are still fresh. Because this most difficult or boring subject will take a lot of your mental energy, and you do not really want to start it when you're already totally tired out. It is also important to be aware when you study best. Are you a night owl or a morning dove? And this can change while you are getting different jobs, or while perhaps having different schedules, or just while you're getting older. For example, when I was in graduate school, I was a night owl. After dinner, then, a little TV, and my husband went to bed, and I went straight to the study to do some homework until 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then at 8 or 9 o'clock, graduate school, you don't get a lot of sleep. I went up again and did my stuff. I was a night owl. Now, oh God, the idea that even I should do, sometimes I play the game Works with Friends, and in the evening, the idea that I should solve a very, very, very complicated combination of letters, forget about it. No. Morning dove. Yeah, very important also is to use the waiting time for in-between classes, or for example, standing in line, sitting at the doctor's office. Have a short study task ready, so that you do not waste your time while sitting there and waiting. Have something ready that you can read, or short math tasks that you can tackle, or a list of things that you have to memorize. Another very, very important trick is also to use a regular study-only area with a chair, a table, and no distractions. I know nowadays with quarantining, It is very, very, very hard to do so because because we are now working and living at home. Why should I even get out of bed in the morning when I can do my stuff in bed? No. We professionally, I can't do that. I get up early every morning at the same time and get dressed and go into my well-defined study area, which has a chair, a table, and a desk, and no distractions. Start working. Also, when you are having roommates, you better tell them and negotiate them that you do not want to be stopped during study time. And when they do not really know that you are studying, they are not aware because it looks like perhaps you're just doing a computer game or whatever. So you might want to have a little note that says study time. The other very important thing is not to fall for time wasters. Learn to say no. We have a great internship, a psychological internship program for graduate students at CAPS. And CAPS is a great place to work. And we offer so many things to our interns that they can experience, that they can learn, that they can grow, that they end up with a tiny little plate. Remember, a day only has 24 hours, and a lot of things on their plate. And that means one of their first professional task is to learn how to say no and say, okay, that's very interesting. I would love to have this project, but I have to finish all the other projects first before I'm able to take on another one. And that leads to the next one is be realistic in your expectations of yourself. There's only so many things that you can do. And you also need to think about you staying healthy, you eat well, you get your exercises, you get your sleep, okay? You cannot work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And sometimes you need to have a break. Sometimes you need to have some fun. You have the right to have a break and have some fun to regenerate. Yeah, a good thing is also, remember, preparing in the evening for things you need tomorrow, including things you plan to wear or take. That is especially of importance for people with attention and concentration difficulties, because they tend to forget. And it's nothing worse than coming into the ice cold AC office that has perhaps, let's say, 52 degrees, and you are wet and dripping because you forgot to take the raincoat or the umbrella. And a good trick is also make class time your best study time. Shut your phone off. Do not play at the computer. Keep notes and read notes before class. Because what you learn in class and what you memorize, you get an idea and you connect with what you read for your assignments, and that helps you to study and do well in the exam. That means you don't need to cram. Procrastination. Procrastination is a big thing for a lot of students, especially students with ADHD. Procrastination is the avoidance to do tasks that need to be accomplished and has a high potential for painful consequences. It normally interferes with a student's academic and personal effort. Avoidance to do tasks that needs to be accomplished, just like, for example, reading the textbook and do the homework so that you can pass your calculus class. and has a high potential for painful consequences is you can't pass a calculus class, then you can't go into your upper level engineering classes. And that means you're kind of pulled back for a semester or two. That means it will interfere long term with the student's academic and personal effort. You will graduate later. You might even have to retake the class again, cost you more money. Who are the procrastinators? These are students with poor time management skills. These are students with planning difficulties. These are students with concentration difficulties. Also students with fear and anxiety. Students with poor time management, yes. You can see that they say, oh, the exam is in 3 weeks. I can study next Tuesday, next weekend. And the next weekend is coming and say, it's in 2 weeks. I still have 2 weekends to study for it. Let's do it next time. Until they finally realize, oh, the exam is in 2 days. Now it's time to get an idea about calculus. Okay? That is procrastination with students with poor time management. Then there are students with planning difficulties, like if they perhaps are not aware when they study best, or they do not have a nice study area, a well-defined study area. They're interrupted a lot during the studying. And then a student with concentration difficulties. When you have ADHD, you have concentration difficulties, you need more time to study. You also need to take more breaks, okay? And you have to check yourself if you really memorize what you're studying. And then there are the students with fear and anxiety. These are students who do not very well in studying because they are fearful that they will fail. And therefore they are so anxious that the memory is blocked. Overcoming procrastination. Procrastination is a skill. Overcoming procrastination. Procrastination can be unlearned. Okay, procrastination was learned. Now it can be unlearned. First, identify your self-defeating problems. For me, a self-defeating problem is checking email, having a look at my schedule if something changed, reading an article that somebody sent me. Yes, and I know that. Therefore, I say, okay, for the next hour, you do not check your email. When there's a crisis, an emergency, somebody can call you. And you also shut off your laptop so that you don't see your other computer with your schedule. Good. And now I can start doing what I want to do. It is also very important to define your goals and to post your goals where you can see them daily. Because remember, we are going to undergraduate, we are doing either undergraduate studies or graduate studies. That means it is a long-term investment. We're talking about 4 long years here before you get your bachelor's, okay? And I said, especially with students who need the instant gratification, it is very, very hard to forgo this instant gratification and think and look at the long-term goals, the lights at the end of the tunnel, okay? And therefore, it is very, very good. A good idea is that you define and post your goals where you can see them. Like, for example, they can pop up on your phone or on your computer, or what I like, because everybody goes and get into the fridge, into the kitchen to get a refreshment, post them at the fridge. Big goal, graduate in 2021 or 22. Okay. Other big goal, pass your calculus class. Okay. Uh, is the mirror in the bathroom comes to mind too, because we're looking in the mirror every day to groom ourselves. Then set priorities and schedule priorities. What are your priorities to get to your goal? First, let's say the engineering program, you want to graduate out of FIU after 4 years. That means you have to pass your calculus class during your sophomore year. Otherwise, you can't get into the upper level classes. That means your priorities this term could be passing calculus. And then you schedule your priorities. Okay, I will study for this calculus class on these and these and these times. I will get myself tutoring on these and these times. I will use my little memory device so that the device tells me, oh, tomorrow you have to go to tutoring. Okay, and in the evening before, I will pack my books so that I don't forget these books when I go to the tutor, because the tutor doesn't have the books, perhaps. Yes, another important thing is because we have normally these long reading assignments, and that this can get very, very, that can be a steep hill to overcome, okay? A gigantic mountain. I have to read this book. I have to read three chapters, and each chapter is 100 pages long, this 300 pages. I will never achieve that. Study in small blocks instead of large blocks. Just schedule, instead of 1 6-hour session, schedule 6 1-hour sessions. Okay, then it does not look so insurmountable. It does not look like it could not be done. It can be done. You only have to schedule your blocks accordingly. And it's also very, very important when you have a large job, like for example a dissertation. A lot of people ask me, a lot of clients ask me, how did you ever get your dissertation done? It is such an incredible amount of work. And I say break large jobs into smaller work units. Like, for example, just start out with a lit research. And then the next thing is you do summaries of all the individual articles you read. And then you put them together in a kind of logical order that supports your that. Do it in small steps and work units. And you will be astonished how how it goes away, how it kind of develops. It's very satisfactory too to see how much more work you can get done this way. And another big thing for me is to motivate myself. Every time I did something, I finished something, and I did something well, I reward myself. And I am very precise in what the reward is when I do finish, like for example, a workshop about time management skills. Okay, after I finish the workshop, putting it all together and making it pretty and stuff like that, then I can go and watch the movie that I wanted to watch, or do other things that I wanted to do. And I did not find the time because I had to work on my workshop. Okay. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to our workshop with regard to time management. And here are our resources, all the telephone numbers. There you have the telephone number of, of web and of CAPS and CAPS at BBC, and our 24-hour hotline here, web and CAPS. And other resources to remind you that we are offering at CAPS. Our free and confidential services include Cognito, which is a module where you learn how to convince others to seek help. Then we have online self-help modules and screenings, like, for example, this time management workshops. Then we have therapy-assisted online counseling, TAO, that we are currently using a lot because we are self-quarantined. Then in non-virtual life, we offer individual, couples, and group counseling at the counseling center. Currently, we just offer via TAO individual and group counseling. Then we offer consultations, evaluations, and referrals. We also offer psychological testing for people with ADHD or for people with learning disability or other cognitive challenging who need perhaps special accommodations that are offered by the Disability Resources Center. We also have psychiatric services, and we also have some fun podcasts with regard to certain psychological conditions to learn a little bit more about them. The Victim Empowerment Program offers confidential assistance to FIU students who have been victimized through threatened or actual violence involving sexual assault, relationship abuse, stalking, hazing, hate crimes, or other violent crimes. Web counselors will explain your choices. They will identify your needs and options. They will accompany you to the court or to the hospital. They offer counseling and certainly safety planning. And here is the fun version of that. We offer a whole array of online self-help options accessible through your mobile device. These include TAO, video conferencing, and quick online screenings that help you to determine whether it's a good idea to come by CAPS, to seek help for anxiety, depression, substance abuse, eating disorders, bipolar disorders, or traumatic experience. Again, I thank you very much for your participation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. There's a chat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being so patient with me. It was a little challenge. Okay, any questions?
I just think you did a really good job, and you kept it under the 50 minutes, even when you had to start over, which is so good. That's it. I just wanted to give you some praise. I felt like you gave a lot of information in 50 minutes, when sometimes when I give that presentation, I feel like I'm struggling to cut it short. So, like, congrats.
Thank you. I did not talk too fast. I have this good, okay, because sometimes students are complaining, you're always in a hurry to talk too fast.
Yeah, I guess maybe since there wasn't like any student interaction in this one, now it makes sense, that it was 50 minutes long. But regardless, there isn't always student interaction. Sometimes students just stay quiet and take in the information. And you didn't talk fast at all. Like, I understood everything. So
Sorry for more student interaction. I needed to have a co-presenter who helps me out with all these editing stuff. Because I can, you can't do it all at the same time. I can't. I mean, I'm not really a gigantic multitasker.
It was really good.
Thank you. Any question with regard to time management that you never dared to ask? Good. I hope you learned something. I hope you get an idea how to improve your time management. Okay. And I wish you all a great afternoon. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.